You know that the Pasha of the week is Pashas Nitzovim. And it's also Erev Rosh Hashanah, essentially. It says that we make sure, the Chachamim made sure, that Pashas Nitzovim is always read before Rosh Hashanah. Most of the time it's read immediately before the Shabbos, before Rosh Hashanah. And sometimes, such as this year when Yom Kippur comes out on Thursday, so there is a Shabbos between Yom Kippur and Sukkot, so there is another Shabbos in between, so Pashas Nitzovim is a Shabbos before the Shabbos before Rosh Hashanah. But essentially, Nitzovim is related to Rosh Hashanah. As a matter of fact, the Gemara says, Atem Nitzovim Hayoim, that Hayoim means this day. Hayoim is the day of Rosh Hashanah. And the word Nitzovim means that you stand up steadfast. Nitzovim means you stand steadfast. There's a difference between Nitzovim and Oimdim. Oimdim also means you stand up. And Nitzovim means you stand. Oimdim only means you're standing up in contrast to sitting. You're not sitting, you're standing. Nitzovim means something else. Nitzovim means that you're standing steadfast, strongly. You are standing with your full personal power and personal pride. There's another time where the word Nitzovim is used in the Torah. There it is in the opposite side. It says by Koirach, there was a big machlokes, a big argument, a big disruption in the desert where Koirach, I'm just briefly mentioning it just in case some of you are not familiar with this, where Koirach stood up against Moshe Rabbeinu. And two prominent Yidden joined him, Dosan and Aviram. And this was a tragic disruption to the point where they were actually, the earth split open and they were swallowed up in the earth. You must all be familiar with this story, but just briefly, this is what happened. So the Torah over there says that when Moshe Rabbeinu went to the place where Dosan and Aviram lived, to their tent area, and he came there to warn all the people that they should stay away from this place because the earth is going to split open. So it says in the Torah there, Dosan va'aviram yotzu nitzovim. Dosan va'aviram came out of their tent, nitzovim, standing up, they and their wives and their children. So Rashi over there says, what's the point of Yotze Nitzovim? What does the Torah emphasize here? Nitzovim means that they came out defiantly. They stood totally unaffected, fearless, facing down Moshe Rabbeinu. So there, this was the power, this was an evil expression of Nitzovim, to defy Moshe and to defy Hashem, and to stand up with such audacity. Here the Torah again uses the word Nitzovim, and it says that Yidden are standing Nitzovim. And when do they stay Nitzovim? On Rosh Hashanah. So clearly here, it does not mean that they stand defiantly, Chas v'sholom. On Rosh Hashanah, on the contrary, Eden come with tshuva, and they plead with Hashem. There's no defiance. There's no chutzpah, so to speak. Then there's another point here, Rashi in this parsha explains that what was Moshe's point of saying, Atem Nitzovim Hayom Kulchem, that the Yidden came back to Moshe after having heard the Toichacha, which was in the previous parsha, all the warnings of the various sufferings that might come to them. And as we mentioned the other day, actually we did see it, in fact, all of these things and then plus. So Yidden came to Moshe and said, how can we possibly survive this type of a story, this type of experience? And Moshe Rabbeinu said to them, he encouraged them, he reinforced their place, and he said, look, throughout the 40 years that we were in the desert, there were many times that you aggravated and you went against Hashem. And true, there were ramifications, nothing went unnoticed. Nevertheless, now, after the 40 years, you still are Nitzovim, you still are standing steadfast. And therefore, this was Moshe's way of coming in and down and reassuring them. I would like to discuss this Nitzovim as it pertains to us. When a Yid comes Rosh Hashanah to Shul, and he tries to understand, what is this about? What am I supposed to do? I know what I'm supposed to read, but what does it mean? And he is told, listen, you have to plead with Hashem that Hashem should consent to be the king of the world, and you are actually going to be coronating him, and you have to show every type of supplication, every type of subjugation, so that it's clear that you're willing to accept his reign. So when a Yid hears that, his first reaction is, well, you have to come down, you have to have your head between your hands, and just act and affect upon yourself every type of inner pain and regret for whatever one has to regret for. And for this, the Torah says, no, when it comes to Rosh Hashanah, Yidden are Nitzovim. They are standing steadfast. How do you combine both of these things? Rashi explains right here in this parsha. The Yidden came to Moshe, and they were taken aback by all the possible afflictions and suffering that may come to Jewish people. So Moshe encouraged them, and he said, Nitzovim, Atem Nitzovim. And then Moshe explained to them that contrary to what it appears, that these afflictions are simply taking revenge and punishment. In fact, you come out stronger as a result of them. As a result of the various difficulties that the Jewish people have gone through, and as a result of the various difficulties that each one individually has gone through. This actually brings him to a different stage, and he becomes stronger as a result of that. Where does he get this extra strength? We know that logically or naturally or psychologically, if a person is afflicted, he falls into depression rather than become encouraged and strengthened. And for this, the answer is that this power of Nitzovim Yidden get directly from Hashem. This is not something that happens naturally. Atem Nitzovim hayoim kulchem lifnei Hashem Elokeichem. That you are standing steadfast and strong. The reason that you're so strong is because Hashem gives you the strength to stand up. So that when we approach Hashem on Rosh Hashanah, and each one of us has their little story, has their little what's called package on the shoulder that they come with. And they may be concerned, they may be embarrassed, they may be ashamed even to approach Hashem. Then Hashem comes to each one and he strengthens him and he stands him up and he says, stand up straight. Because all of these tests, all of these nisyonis that you have gone through, these are all meant to strengthen you. These are all meant to clean out and clarify what it is that you really believe in, what it is that you really stand for. I came at the end of the last session, but we're talking about Moshiach, and in this issue we talk about Moshiach quite a lot. And one of the principles of Moshiach is that there cannot be any ambiguity left.
What does mean
ambiguity? Ambiguity means lack of clarity, unclear, murky.
Foggy.
Arpili is dark.
It's like foggy, not clear.
Not clear.
Borrowed.
You know, you say something, I'm not sure you said yes, I'm not sure you said no. We have to ultimately come out clear, crystal clear. And that's what Mashiach is all about. We have to have Nitzovim. We have a crystal clear view of what we are, what we stand for. And Hashem helps us to come to this clarity. And that's why Hashem says, with all that you've gone through, where do you stand now? Now you're standing up, erect, straight, you know clearly where you stand, you know clearly what the truth is, then you're absolutely welcome here. You want to wash your feet, you can wash them outside, but here you are perfectly clear. And every Yid on Rosh Hashanah, counts. That's exactly what it says in today's parsha. It says, Moshe Rabbeinu says to the Yidden, Atem Nitzovim hayoim kulchem. You're all standing up erect, facing Hashem Elokeichem. And he says, who are you all? He goes and he enumerates 10 different categories of Yidden. Right there in this purpose.
Different categories of what?
Of Yidden. Okay. 10 different categories in the Jewish people. From the top, the greatest, the leaders, the scholars, all the way down to the very end. Excuse me? Shove mayim. Choit ve'etzim v'choy shove mayim. Choit ve'etzim v'shove mayim. Choit ve'etzim v'shove mayim, that category were not even Jews.
No.
They were Canaanim.
They cheat us.
Right. They cheated Moshe Rabbeinu, right. But once they joined the Jewish people, everybody is enumerated individually. And they all stand steadfast. When the Torah says to us, and Hashem says to us, you have to stand steadfast. You have to eliminate doubt, self-doubt. Just because you have not answered every question that you could possibly have answered doesn't mean that you are in doubt. You still can be very clear on what it is. These are two very simple, separate concepts. One is that a Yid, because of his neshama, because of what he truly lives with, what he breathes, what he knows clearly from his neshama perspective. Then there are things that a person has been exposed to, there are things that a person has learned, has experienced, has heard other people's opinions and got all confused. And as a result of this confusion, he's questioning this clarity that I have seen a moment ago. Is that clear? Is that real? Am I really sure of it? If I'm sure of it, how could I have doubt now? How come I cannot answer this question? How come I cannot answer this question? The answer to this is very important as we approach Rosh Hashanah. We have to remember that God and God's presence and our relationship to God supersedes human intelligence. There is no way that we can intellectually comprehend and understand fully the significance of this relationship. And thus, we have to allow this relationship to flourish and to go full force because of what it truly is. And then, if you want to catch up intellectually to it, it's fine. But one does not interfere with the other. We can continue to learn, continue to ask questions, and to try to clear things up, but that does not interfere with our clear vision, our clear understanding of what the truth is. This principle is further in this same Pasha. This Pasha is Nitzovim and Pashas Vayeilech. Essentially, these are the less Pashas in the Torah. These are the moments when Moshe Rabbeinu clearly states to the Yidden who they are, what they are. At the very end of Moshe Rabbeinu's leadership in this world. So the whole Pasha summarizes, so to speak, in bullets, specific statements, specific truths. And in this Pasha, there is also that famous pasuk on which the Alter Rebbe bases his whole Tanya. In the Tanya, if you take a look in the Shabbat before the Tanya, the introduction, the Alter Rebbe's own introduction to the Tanya, he says that the Tanya, the principles discussed in the Tanya, are based on what the pasuk says, Ki koroi ve'lecho hadovar ma'oid beficho v'lvavcho la'asoisei. That the Torah which I'm telling you, which I'm teaching you, is not distant. It has definitely a lot of very profound inyanim that require hard work to get and to understand. But the principle that I'm giving you, the principle that is going to be your guide in life, on a daily basis, he says, is not far. It's not something that you have to go out of your way to grasp, that you have to go out of your way to understand. This is very close to you. In your mind, in your mouth, and your heart to do it. It is absolutely close. And the Alter Rebbe says that he is setting out in the Tanya to explain how is it close? Why do we say it's so close? And the principle that the Alter Rebbe explains in the Tanya is that intellectually we may vary. There are people who have a very powerful intellect and able to dig in very deeply in understanding godliness, understanding God's presence in the world, understanding the world from a godly perspective. And there are people who are not capable of doing that. But everyone is capable at any moment to recognize God's presence clearly, without any doubt, and to recognize His connection to Hashem at any time. For this, you don't need to have a profound and a powerful intellect, because this is a gift that Hashem has given to each one of us. It's a gift in our very soul. This neshama, this soul, this clarity of vision that we have from the neshama, that allows us, this Nitzovim, to stand up steadfast on Rosh Hashanah, regardless of what transpired in the year, and regardless of what transpired in our past life. This is what makes us wholesome, what makes us whole, what makes us full-fledged individuals. It is very important for any activity that a person chooses to do, to have one view, one clear view of what the truth is. Self-doubt and uncertainty about everything in the world, this is clearly a very negative thing in terms of a person's life. But in addition to that, it actually detracts means it takes away from a person's personality, from a person's ability to make decisions, from a person's ability to say, I know which direction I'm going. And here, the situation with us here is that intellectually, in terms of the amount of learning that we have done, the amount of knowledge that we have accumulated, we are still very young. But the amount of responsibility that we have, and the burden of making decisions that is upon us, we have it in full force. We're not children. We can't afford to be children. We have to have a clarity of vision and know where we're going and go there steadfastly. Go there with pride. And this is why it is important that we separate the doubts from the certainties. And we have to follow through on the certainties. Doesn't mean that we will not attend to whatever questions we may have. But though they should not interfere with our lives. So therefore, as we spoke in the past, as I recall several times, when we come to Rosh Hashanah, and we approach Rosh Hashanah and say, okay, I'm here. The question is, how come I'm here? What brings me here? So if a person begins to think, oh, what brings me here? Oh, I met up this guy, and this made me think like this, it made me think like this. Maybe this is right, maybe this is right.
What do you mean, what brings me? What me personally? Or
Me
what
personally.
brings-
Me personally.
Although I came here to celebrate Rosh Hashanah,
Right. What does it mean I'm here? So each one will have their own little story and their own little explanation. What I think about Rosh Hashanah, what I think about this, what I think about this. The truth is, though, that what really brings you there and what really makes it that you belong there is way beyond your own decision.
your
You-
choice.
Huh?
Your choice. I'm sorry that I'm bothering you.
You belong there because Hashem said you belong there. That's why you belong there. And Hashem tells you, stand up steadfast because you belong here. The minute we start attributing our situation on some type of personal decision, we begin to be bombarded with questions and doubt from every side. Am I really up to it? Do I really mean it? What about this and what about that? So the first thing that we have to understand is that this Nitzovim, the fact that we stand up steadfast and we come there is because Lifnei Hashem Elokechem, because Hashem is the one who decides that we belong there. He brought us there. And therefore, even if we are way down intellectually, so to speak, way down in our in terms of the spectrum, the full spectrum of the Jewish people, doesn't change whatsoever our place and our welcome in Rosh Hashanah. I remember in yeshiva, by Fabrengen, the Mashpia once explained the principle that we have to have clarity of vision, clarity of knowledge, or what we stand for, what we believe in. So he explained. He said that there was with this parable, says that this lady her child became sick. And what does a Jewish lady do when her child is sick? She runs to shul to ask that people should make a Vayeilech, to say Kibbutz Tilim. So she's running to shul. On the way to shul, she passes by a tumah. She passes by a church. And she stops by the church, Rahman al-Islam, and she mutters a few words and runs on. So they ask her, what are you doing? What are you doing? This is a tumah. She says, oh, my child is not well. Maybe this is also something. My child is not well. I need the, what's the difference where I get it from? So the point is that when your child is not well, you should still not lose your heart, not lose your clarity of what is kedusha and what is tumah, what is holy, what is unholy. In other words, we come to shul. Oh, I need to plead with Hashem. Yes, I have to ask Hashem for a good year, for a successful year. So maybe this is also something. I need a good year. They say that davening in shul is a good idea, so maybe that will help also. That's not an approach. That's not an approach. Not for us. We don't approach Hashem with maybes. We have to have a clear knowledge and dedication, a clarity of understanding, of a feeling. Yes, this is it. This is the truth.
But we can't forget it. It's one of the points that we do and what we're doing.
Sorry?
We also do the shul to ask for a better for us.
Yeah, but maybe.
I understand. We ask for that's right. We can ask for a good year, but it's not on the basis of maybe. If this is it, this is it. Besides the fact that really we go to shul for a much greater purpose than ask for a good year. The Rebbe should give us a good year. We come to shul to declare our unity with Hashem. But regardless of to what extent we understand what it is, we have to know this inyan, that we are Nitzovim. Nitzovim means we stand up clear and we don't shake. We have no shaking legs. We have no doubt. And this is what the Alter Rebbe principally explains in the Tanya. He says that every Yid, regardless of what his level of intelligence is and what the degree of his learning is, absolutely every Yid, at any time, even at the time when he is being tested, when he's being enticed to do an Vayeilech, at any time, has and can bring out a clear view, a clear knowledge that he wants to be with Hashem. Because this knowledge is not dependent on his intelligence. This is the very basic makeup of a Yid. And this is the principal knowledge with which we come into Rosh Hashanah. It says further in this parsha, as I said, this parsha is the real parsha of Hachonah for Rosh Hashanah. It says further in this parsha, Umol Hashem Elokecha es levovcha ve'es levav zarecha. That after that Yidden do tshuva, then Hashem will be mal, you circumcise your mouth. You apply milah to your heart and to the heart of your children. Again, what is the pshat? What is the meaning that there will be a milah on the heart? How you bemal the heart? Again, Moshe Rabbeinu here is clearly stating to the Yidden that they should understand that what is really doing inside the Jewish heart does not need any correction. You don't need to imbue the Jewish heart with anything. It knows exactly what the truth is, and it has the full capacity, the full dedication and love for Hashem. What happens is that the heart gets a covering, and we're not really in touch with what is truly doing in our heart. And when a Yid does tshuva, and he asks Hashem that Hashem should help him to do tshuva, then Hashem removes that covering from the heart. And when the covering is removed, then he actually comes forth and he actually recognizes and feels it full-fledged. So, to summarize and to bring us into the spirit of Rosh Hashanah, into the spirit of where we have to stand now, we have to be reassured that whatever shortcomings any one of us has, there is a flowing neshama, a living neshama in us that is really healthy and full of life, full of enthusiasm. And yes, eventually we wanted to come through our intellect and through our emotion. But even before that, we know exactly what it is. We know exactly what the neshama wants. We know exactly where we belong. There is a story from Reb Shmuel Munkes. You heard of Shmuel Munkes? Some of you did, some of you didn't. Shmuel Munkes was a chassid of the Alter Rebbe. Shmuel Munkes was a big chassid, but externally and superficially, he was actually quite a funny man. And he pulled a lot of different type of tricks. So the story goes about Shmuel Munkes that he was once at an inn. He stayed in an inn by a Jewish inn. And early morning, this was during this time before Rosh Hashanah. So early morning, the the innkeeper is waking him. He says, Rabbi, wake up. What's the rush to wake up? He says, you have to go to Slichas. I don't know, before Rosh Hashanah, you have to go to Slichas early. So Shmuel turns around, oh yeah? You have to go to Slichas? What's Slichas? So he says, Slichas? Well, you go to Shul, and you ask Hashem that your behemoth, your cow should produce milk, and that the chicken should lay eggs, and whatever else, and that the wheat should grow, everything, all the good things that you need. So Shmuel looks at him and says, I never saw a full adult get up in the middle of the night ask for food. Children wake up in the middle of the night asking for a bottle. But an adult at your age should ask in the middle of the night, should get up to ask for food? Never saw. What is the point in this? The point is that this is not what slichus is. To ask that the cow should produce milk and the chicken should lay eggs. Slichus and Rosh Hashanah is our entrance into Hashem's palace. And when you have to enter into the palace, you don't just go straight into the front door. You go slowly. You go from step to step. First you go to the outside, an external step, and then further in. And each time that you go another step in, you feel and recognize where you are. You recognize the awe and the purity and the glory that you are facing. A person cannot come from the farm and go right into the king's palace. He'll be blurred from what he sees. He has to prepare himself. So we come and we approach Hashem slowly, a week before Rosh Hashanah. That's what we said. Shabbos night, the first slichus, we say that at the end of Shabbos is the first time, our first step into coming to you. Because as a matter of fact, even though, as I said, even though we are very small people, but in fact we all approach Hashem. And we all approach Hashem cautiously, carefully, but steadfastly. And Hashem welcomes us. We have to, even though, again, we may not understand it, we may not feel it, we have to know that Hashem welcomes to the shul every Yid. And every Yid has shown that's missing is really missing, and Hashem recognizes that he is missing. So we are saying slichus every day, and slowly this is preparing us to come to shul on Rosh Hashanah, and to be able to, on that day, to stand up, what's the expression, stand up and be counted. Because each one is counted. Each one is significant. And as a result of that we all come together, and we all come fully, with full dedication, full clarity to Hashem. Hashem accepts us, and He accepts our request that He should again renew His kingdom, rejuvenate the kingdom on the world, and when the kingdom is rejuvenated, then there is new glory, new revelation that comes through as a result. And with this renewed revelation, with this renewed glory, we will, in Hashem, merit his galus of Mashiach.
Amen.
And each one of us is an important participant in this whole process. We are not an also ran. We are primary product. So we have to go into Rosh Hashanah cautiously, with respect, but steadfastly. Yeah.
Question. You mentioned something, and I just wanted to check. You said that every Jew, right, has the ability to perform the mitzvahs if he puts his mind to it, right? Does this literally apply to every Jew? I mean, does it take time, or is it something that he can say
Like this.
So you're saying that the difference between, let's say, one Jewish person, who's very diligent, right, and another one who's very undiligent is a matter of pure free choice, or maybe it's like just environment, where they came from, their background, the amount of klipa they were involved in before.
All of these things are true, but all of these things affect only what we call his rational view of things.
Yeah.
But the way he sees things beyond his rationale, the way he sees things personally, what do I personally really believe? There's no difference. There's no difference. I once had the following small episode. This was a bris of a Baal Tshuva. Baal Tshuva family made a bris, and their parents were there, and the parents were very far from Yiddishkeit, very far. Parents and brothers, whatever it is. So they were in shul, so I approached them, you should put on tefillin. So his first reaction was, sure. And then he looked at his friend and said, no, I'd rather not. Okay, what does that mean? He couldn't put it into a rational perspective, but it really made sense to him personally. You understand what I'm saying? And this is something which we experience on a daily basis. We approach a Yidden in the middle of the street and you say, you're Jewish? Yeah, a Jew is supposed to put on tefillin. Oh yeah, okay, let's put on tefillin. What's his background? What does he know about tefillin?
Okay, but what would he give? Yeah, but you see from experience that one Jew has more ability to overcome his rational soul than another one.
Yeah, but that's something else, Elaine. That's something else. That could be because strength of character, and one is more affected by peer pressure, whatever it is. Yeah, that's something else. But I'm talking about not to overcome his rationale. I'm talking about what he truly sees, truly believes. That is there all the time. Okay, so have a ksiva chasimatoiva, good gesund Jahr. We'll see you next year in Mitzvah.
See you tomorrow, no?
Yeah, tomorrow. That's true.